let's do that now. Okay, so in heart-centered sales mastery, what is important and what we will go into, I'll give you a little bit of an overview as well of this program. But even here, if you've already got questions about sales, and see, the thing is, people keep doing the same things, and when the bottom line is that they need to improve their sales, you can't keep doing the same things and expect different results. Einstein said it a long time ago. That is total madness, really. But so we all do it at some point. So if you've been doing, if you're in sales or if you're planning being in sales, if you've got your own business, you need to be able to sell. If you have a small or medium business, you probably need to be involved in the team as well. But at least if you're not personally in sales, but you've got a team with you, you need to be able to understand what works in sales and how it works. And we've all heard about the second-hand car salesman like there used to be, and people said, "Would you buy a car from him?" And they always, it was not in the best terms that they talked about a second-hand cars salesman. Now they've got a pre-owned vehicle sales director or some fancy titles they get now. But they realized that they needed to up that image. Now the image also is part of it, but the biggest part is how you value yourself, how you value other people, and how you can connect with other people, because people of value people. So I'll tell you a few things that we go into the workshop as well. And if you want to know any more about some of the basics of what I'm telling you next, I will really certainly answer your questions. But one of the things is about heart-centered sales. It's about authentic education through genuine communication without manipulation. Now that is already a huge thing. See, sometimes we are so much under pressure to sell something that we will do whatever it takes to get our numbers up, especially when they tell you, well, if you're not getting your figures by the end of the week or the end of the month, you're going to be in trouble. Now, it is the totally wrong way to do, because what you do, yes, you might get a few sales, but you will push most people away, and it's going to be much harder to get into sales. So it is really about understanding the needs, building the trust, and as I said already, the relationships. So we need to become much more customer centric rather than focus. So that means that we need to focus on people, on the people side. And one of the things we're going to be talking into the workshop as well is it's called the Heart-Centered Sales Mastery Accelerator. And where we actually start there is that we're going to want people to move from transactional selling, which is what's happened a lot, into relationship-driven, trust-based sales mastery. I hope that makes some sense, and if it does, that put yes in the chat if you can, or it's difficult on the phone, I know that. But also in that whole heart-centered sales mastery accelerator, it's a fancy name, of course, but we're going to be talking about EQ and the 4 areas of EQ and how it can benefit you becoming more aware of yourself and also the environment you're working in. Then we're going to be talking about how to build values-driven conversations, how to use storytelling because facts tell, stories sell. And so how to create deeper engagement with your potential customer or your existing clients. And then also how to handle objections with compassion. See, it's so easy to think that people have objections which don't mean anything, and then without wanting to, we might come over sometimes a little bit as pushy or arrogant, or they say, oh, they're only interested in selling their product or service. But it shouldn't be like that. And of course, in that accelerator, to accelerate this, we also need to learn how to build long-term relationships. And I'm also pointing out the people who say no now, because my wife is amazing at this, to build relationships and connections, because she is compassion herself. And I've learned a lot from her about this. I've watched her over the last more than 10 years now, She's one of the foremost diversity, equity, and inclusion specialists as well. And how she builds relationships. Sometimes there is people and customers that say no at the moment, and she keeps building relationships. She sends them some information, maybe on a weekly basis. She sends them some amazing memes that she knows are meaningful to them. And it's not with the purpose of I hope they come back sometime. No, it's just it's about building relationships. And then all of a sudden, sometimes even a year or two later, they come back and say, I need your services. I require your services right now. Now that would never have happened if you're focused on the sale and go. And you might wonder how much time that takes. Well, not a lot of time. Sending a meme, connecting via WhatsApp, dropping an email every now and then. All these kind of things we will talk into how you can build those connections. But there is more, of course, because we're also into values-based selling as well as value-based selling. Value-based selling, we're talking a bit about the 5 levels of value-based selling, which actually starts with the value of the product in level 1, and in level 5 it talks into the transformation of the customer because of the benefits and the value of your products. Again, I hope that makes some sense. But we also have to identify what are your personal and business values. So if I said to you right now, give me your 3 to 5 of your best values, that are intrinsic to you, that you would never compromise on, what would they be? Now, there is very few people who can say that. Yes, they've got an idea, and I'm not talking about fancy values on the wall of the big companies. Basic human values like listening, respect, hope, forgiveness, understanding people, connection, listening. Those are simple, basic values that I firmly believe that we need to bring them back in all levels of society, including leadership, because my friend and mentor Les Brown said a long time ago that leadership is failing because of a lack of values. And that's time for a story for another day. But so we need to use values and start to use value-based messaging. So we're going to delve into that, how you can do those kind of things. And that way you will not only seem more connected, you will not only seem more interested, because I think it's Stephen Covey said one time, you need to be interested rather than interesting. That means the biggest part of the most important part of your conversation with a client or a potential client is about them. Let's face it, for all of us, the most important person to talk about is the one looking in the mirror. So we need to move to their levels and find out where they're at, so we can meet them where they're at and move them along that journey in a way that suits them, that requires where the needs of your clients and potential clients are, that you can actually meet those. So we're talking about ethical selling in there as well, in values-based selling mastery. And as I said already, the 5 levels of value-based selling. There is a little bit of a difference in value-based selling and values-based selling. The values talk about the values, but the value is about the service, the product, the way you help the customers from, yes, the product and service. You need to know your product and service. We will cover a little bit of basic sales anyway, where you need to ask at some point. But we need to move differently along that journey, not just a push. I need to go out and make 10 sales today. So I'm on that phone, and as soon as they say no or whatever, rather than ask them what the reason is and how can we help them with their objections, put the phone down and next one. No, that kind of sales is destructive, because you're going to run out of people very quickly. So then we're also going to talk about the trusted advisors framework. And as you can see, there is a holistic approach, but there is a picture in this that everything starts to come together, because we want everybody to move from just another salesperson to a trusted consultant. Now, how does that sound better already? Salesperson or trusted consultant, with a focus on guiding rather than selling, and also the focus on educating rather than persuading. I hope that makes sense to you. But we're gonna delve into that, and also learn how to have coaching conversation. Now, a lot of this is very interactive. Even when I as a coaching training, I do that all by itself as a half-day workshop normally. And then we've got a 6-week boot camp after that as well. But you won't become a coach, but you'll be able to have coaching conversations, something that you can use at home with your friends, with your family, and your community. It's not all about sales, but we all know the quote, be the change you want to see in the world. This is something that will create a change within you. And in values-based leadership, which I'll tell you a little bit about as well, it's a program that transforms entire countries. And both me and my wife have been part of that. And we're two of the few global values-based leadership specialists in the whole of Africa. But the other quote that really talks into be the change is, transformation begins in me and begins with me. So if we want better customers, if we want customers that like us more, if we want customers that actually come back to us, what do you think needs to happen first? You need to change. And that's exactly what leadership is about. This change doesn't happen overnight. But I always say leadership and all these kind of people-centric processes and procedures and tips and tools that you will get plenty of, they are all about personal development. I started a personal development journey when I was 17, which is quite a few decades ago. And I do that every single day. And this is not to impress you, this is to impress upon you that personal growth is what leadership is all about. Personal growth is how you become a better salesperson, how you become that trusted consultant. And when you become a trusted consultant, people will come to you who you've never met, because other people start talking about you to other people. Whether they bought or it says, it's amazing. I didn't really want anything from the salesperson, but he was so good. He really got me. He really wanted to be. He was really interested in me. So if I ever need anything like that, I want to go back. So they start telling about you when sales come up or anything like, oh, I bought this, but I will never go back into that shop because. I said, well, then the next time you need to go to XYZ because. So to become that trusted person takes some time, but every day do something. I say personal growth is all about daily intentional personal development. So that doesn't mean the same as going to the gym. You don't need to stand on the treadmill for 2 hours every day once you put your New Year's resolution together. Most of them don't work anyway. But you need to intentionally do something every day to improve yourself, and you get plenty to fill that up. And it's not, you don't have to do the same as everybody else, because one size doesn't fit all. But you need to do something. Even in speaking, when I do a speaking workshop, it doesn't take a lot to be more interesting, but it certainly takes something. And that something is intentionally every day. I hope that makes sense to you too. So then you will learn how to have coaching conversation, and that's all about asking the right questions and listening. Now, if you heard about the leadership thing earlier on, leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less, where I said, oh, you need to build relationships. And how do you do that? Ask better questions and listen better. So again, it comes back that you can become a great coach without becoming a good leader, but you will never become a great leader without becoming a good coach. Now you might say, hold on, but I will never be a leader. We are all leaders. We don't lead everybody at the same level, and you don't all go to the same level, but we are all leaders. And whether leaders in our sales organization, leaders in our personal life, leaders in our family and in our community, especially in the community-based cultures, there's plenty people who are leaders, and there's one or two that stand out more. The next one could be you, because all these kind of skills improve you. And when you improve, that's when be the change you want to see around the world. That's when everything around you changes. It's the power of attraction. You attract better people. You attract better customers. You attract people that you want to sell to, that they want to buy from you, if that makes. But it is all about how to make clients feel valued and understood. And the last thing I'm really going to talk briefly into is personalities. Now, I am pretty sure if you've got children, if you've got a spouse, if you've got siblings, your parents, even your friends, you don't get on with everyone the same. You don't connect with everyone the same. And there's a few reasons for that, but one of them definitely is because you communicate differently than they do. You've heard maybe the sentence, birds of a feather flock together. That means those of us that are similar to us, we really get on well, easily, like a house on fire, they say. I don't know why they ever said that, because a house on fire is nothing to laugh about. But there is a real connection. It's not it's especially the people who are totally opposite from you. If you are reserved and they're outgoing, and if you are a bit more of a loner and they would stand in the middle of a stage of 10,000 people, you don't get them. But you can't really communicate with them properly either. So those kind of things are very important. How to learn what is your communication style, because before you can't give what you haven't got. So before you learn how to connect with other people, especially those not with you, and that's depending which area you're in. That's probably the most people. Once you understand yourself, you can learn and see how other people communicate, and there's cheat sheets I give you as well, how you can discover that. It's very simple. And then how can you start talking in them? And people, if you do that and start practicing that, even at home, people start saying, hey, you've changed. And that you see that as a compliment, because now they can connect better with you. I hope that makes sense. I can take my glasses off. But it is, and there is also learning styles. Again, you might think, and I've had this example myself. I was in Tehran, in Iran, in 2018 training, and this whole personality profiling. We're gonna. It's interactive. We're gonna split the floor up and make you see how people are different, and learn about this. We're gonna practice these kind of things. There's a lot of practice going to be involved in the 2 days, and this lady said, I've discovered my daughter is 5 years old, and she says, and I know I'm the same personality as her, but I just can't connect with her. So there is another part to this. She says she's so clever, but she's not listening to me because she's always busy. I said, okay, there is another part, and it's about learning styles. You are the same personality, but you've got a different learning style. She was one of these very outgoing kind of people, and she was a picture thinking person, and her daughter was more kinesthetic. She learned by doing. So we explain that as well, because again, it's another part. I call it a fair advantage, both your personalities, your communication styles, your leadership strengths, and this part. It is a fair advantage because it's fair because everybody can learn this. And you're going to learn this kind of stuff, and you're going to be able to take this home and practice this. And I can promise you, not only your sales will change, but your life will change. Because this is very much a personal development approach. A heart-centered approach is when you can get from the head to the heart and start connecting with people, you will build relationships. Not only in sales, but sales is certainly an area where people need to start to learn this. Because if you just keep focusing on your product, and now I've listened to people say, yeah, but I don't focus on my product or service as much anymore. I focus more on the benefits. Okay, that's already better. But again, if you're still going to push your product or service, but if you go to a person, and again, whichever it is possible through this medium or a phone, or better in person, but however you do this, if you can connect with people and you are interested in them, and you can talk into them, and you also see what kind of learning styles they have, and they all use a little bit of a different language. Then when you learn, it's not a foreign language as such, but it's a little bit strange because it's unusual. But when you can do those kind of things, it is amazing what will happen. And that is something that you will take home, because yes, the benefits are great, but if you can talk into the person, if you can ask them personal questions. Now, sometimes you walk in an office, and for example, you might see I say a Manchester United, a photo of Manchester United on the wall. I'm just giving you an example. I could do the Netherlands, where I'm originally from, Ajax, but Manchester United or Liverpool. And so then you say, oh, yeah, or a rugby, or maybe even a rugby shirt. You can already start a conversation. Oh, I see. hello there, and you introduce yourself and say, I just noticed you like rugby. So you can have a little bit of a conversation. That doesn't mean all the conversation should be about rugby, but you get the picture that you need to start having a different kind of conversation. Not just, okay, by the way, my name is, I've got this kind of product, these are the benefits, are you interested? It's going to be a very short conversation usually, and you certainly won't build relationships. So I hope that makes a bit of sense. And I'm now, I really want to know, I've talked enough really, already just about an hour, nearly, an hour, half an hour, and I said I wouldn't do more than that. But now I would like to know, and I see already a question coming, Gilbert, if you also have any questions that you came up in the forms that have been filled in, I'm also ready to listen to this. I'm just going to have a look at the chat itself. Thank you. I can hear you. I'm Thomas.
Right. I think I'll ask Professor and Susan. I think they were the ones analyzing the questions in the form.
Yeah.
Susan and Professor Muka.
Yeah.
You are analyzing the form, yeah?
I think, well, rather than me reading the questions, if you don't mind, otherwise I will read them because I see them in the chat already. Susan, would you unmute yourself and ask the question? I don't know if it's possible to mute yourself. If you can't or don't, then it's fine. I will always understand, and I'll take it from the chat.
Okay, so those who have questions, you can either raise your hand or you can put it in the chat, and Jan will be able to answer.
Yeah, and again, okay.
There's a question there. Says, what are generally some of the values of a business?
Okay, well, that is a fairly wide question, of course, because the values of a business, again, the problem with most, let somebody in. The problems with most businesses is that they decide that the organization will have these 4, 5, 7 values, and that's a small group. That's a small group of people. Okay, hold on. I will. If I mute you, that's not trying to be disrespectful. I just make sure that whoever is going to unmute gets a chance. But yeah, most of the time these values, and we've gone as a values-based leadership specialist, we've gone to organizations. First of all, the CEO or the top management can't even mention the 5 or 7 values they've got, and then they say, and then we ask, but you hope that the whole organization buys into them. Now, they don't even understand. Like I just for example, listening. It's a great value to have, to be able to listen well, and you learn that in the coaching part as well, where you're going to learn to have coaching conversations because it's all about listening. I say to people, are you really a good listener? And we ask them beforehand to rate themselves. And most people, including myself for a long time, overestimated my own listening skills and underestimated everybody else's. But then when we stand in, especially with modern technology, where we stand in front of somebody and want to have a phone in our hand, for example, or somebody else walks past and you just, even though they're still talking, you just turn around and say hello. No. You can see them walking past, but you need to be present with the person in front of you, because at the level of respect, everyone is equal. That's a quote by my wife, but she has another one. She said, you don't need to like everyone you come into contact with. However, the way you show respect to the person in front of you is a direct reflection on the way on your character and the way you act, not on theirs. So if you look at that, so we need to do those kind of things. But many organizations have got values, but I think first and foremost we need to understand what our own values are, and we will go through a little exercise that if you're not clear yet, by the time you've done this exercise, you will be a lot clearer on the 3 to 5 values that really stand out for you personally. And that doesn't mean that they're going to be set in stone, but those could be listening. I mean, you could value your family. It could be that you value your religion. it might be that you value respect. It's a great one, because I quite often ask people, do you expect others to respect you? Of course. And then the question is, do you respect them? Well, I mean, they need to respect me first. No, 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 no. You need to give. See, if you help enough other people to get what they want, you'll get what you want. That was Zig Ziglar, and that's also a great quote. But you need to give in order to receive. That is in every good book as well. But then the next question really gets them even more. Do you actually respect yourself? Because I said already, you cannot give what you haven't got. So to say what are the values of a business, it depends on the type of the business. Every business has got its own values. But I think when we start to ask ourselves what are our values and do they align with the business that we're in, and how can we use our values to use that to value our potential and existing customers. I hope that makes sense. But to say, oh, there is these and these values are the ones that well, of course, I hope some of the basics. Of course, I hope that there is integrity and honesty in a business. I mean, if they've got that on the wall, that they hope that people walking in there and become employees will become honest and have integrity, they're already on the wrong path. You need to assume that that's already there. But there is some of them are like teamwork, like communication. Those are some of the values that come out straight to understanding people, because as a team you're working with people. Forgiveness, restraint. Sometimes we open our mouth before we think, and then when it comes out, we can't take it back. So those are some of the values that I can think of straight away. But it depends on the business, and we need to work on our own values at the same time. But when you work in an organization, find out what their values are. If you have your own business, set up the values. You can connect your personal values and your business values, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you've got an SMME. But it's a bigger conversation. But I really understand the question. Thank you.
Okay, so there's another one who is asking, how can I reach a level where I can sell effortlessly? It becomes like, I guess that's also one of my cries. How can I reach a stage where I can sell effortlessly? It becomes part of me.
Yeah, well, I love the question, and thank you very much. And I'm also totally transparent. When I know, I'll let you know. I know that's an easy answer, but the simple answer is practice. But you might have heard the quote, practice makes perfect, and that is wrong. Because if you practice something wrong, it only becomes perfectly wrong. It'll never become perfect. So feedback, especially for a speaker, feedback, I'm also a professional speaker, feedback makes you perfect. So when other people, never be afraid to ask for feedback, whether you made a sale or even if you didn't make a sale, to ask, say, why did you eventually decide to buy from me? Or why did you decide not to buy from me? And don't get upset, because that kind of feedback will make you a better person. Even to dare to ask those kind of things will make you a better person, because as long as you don't take it to heart, use feedback what it's for. It's to help you improve you. And you don't always have to agree with everybody anything says, but it takes practice. And it's simple, but not easy all the time. So we need to, I would also say, to get better, set out what you want to improve on and have an accountability partner. That could be a friend, that could be a colleague at work, it could be somebody else who knows you well. And if it's something that you can write down, say, I want to improve on this, this, and this. And you tell your accountability partner, when you see me falling short of that, because I know I'm not very good at it yet, when you see me falling short, tell me, please tell me, I will appreciate it. And if they're great accountability partners, they will do that. So it takes knowing what it takes to become a better salesperson. You might have heard it. Some people can sell ice to the Eskimos, or they can sell sand to the Arabs, which basically says that they can sell anything to anybody. And that is because they bring energy. I already mentioned that earlier on. Sales is a transference of energy, how you show up. It's not just about the words you say, but we'll talk into that anyway, because it's also about your body language, your tonality. If you're just boring and talk like this to somebody, you lose them. They probably won't even wait long enough to hear about what your product is. But these kind of things are all things that are skills that can be learned. So how you show up, and the way you dress for success, depending what you sell and what you need to dress. Like if you work in farm equipment, you don't necessarily have to work with in a suit and a tie. But these things, there is quite a few things that, of course, you need to. First of all, let's take a step back in the technical side. You need to know your product or service inside out. You need to be passionate about your product or service, and that tells you into your energy. Then, of course, when you start coming to the soft skills, you need to find out what your niche is. But who are the best potential clients? Now, if you sell agricultural equipment, you don't go to a person in the middle of an office block in town in Lusaka and find out if they are interested in. They might be, but I mean the chances of you selling agricultural equipment in the middle of town in Lusaka, for example, in an office block where people are doing all kinds of other work, are slim to none. I know it's a simple way, but find out who your market is and who your niche is. So then when we go to the soft skills, how can I connect better with other people? How can I get that heart-centered sales mastery right? Because once you've got the technical skills right, you know what the niche is, and then you learn the kind of stuff that we're going to go over in the 2 days, and it's going to be a lot. It's going to be fun. I'm not a very serious kind of guy. Serious enough but what I'm saying is it's got to be light-hearted. We're going to be interactive. We're going to train. We're going to have practice runs and different things. We're even going to be juggling in the room, but you'll need to find out if you want to know exactly why and how. But all of it is practice. Once you get all these skills, once you become aware. See, people said knowledge is power, and Les Brown, my friend and mentor, he's the #1 motivational speaker in the world, African American. He said a long time ago, and it's maybe not even his quote, but he said, if knowledge was power, every librarian would be skinny, rich, and happy. Think about that. And now, because we've got access to knowledge all over the world, AI and all that, within a split second, we would all be like that. But awareness brings power, because awareness, and that's what you get in the 2 days, you get an awareness of a lot of different skills and tips and tools that will help you to become a better person, that will help you to become a better family member, that will help you to become a better community member. I'm not saying you're not a good member already, but all these kind of things are byproducts from the sales workshop, because it'll help you to become a better salesperson. And really, if you want to sell anything to anybody, you need to learn those to bring that energy to the table. How do we do that? To bring the skills, to connect with people at the heart level, rather than just thinking about having to make a sale. So everything that I've really talked into about, when you practice some of it on a daily basis, every day, and you can set that schedule once you find out exactly what we're going to go through. And then we'll also talk a little bit about what your product is and your service, and how you can sort that out. We'll touch a little bit on the technical, but also on the mindset, because the way you've been doing things for a long time, things are evolving so rapidly. And if you work for an organization, for example, if profit was not the main source, then you never really had pressure of sales, and all of a sudden, when it needs to make profit, or even less loss for them, there is more to it, because it also talks into leadership development and team cohesiveness and those. But it talks about how you can sell better. And all of a sudden now there is figures that we need to reach, and we need to make sure we get out of this hole that we're in, or we need to make sure we have certain targets. And if you don't understand the sales logic from it, you still can do a lot more when you have the sales magic, and the magic happens from the heart. So I hope that already helps.
Okay, fantastic. I like the one where you said sales is a transference of energy. The person who was teaching me public speaking says, you see, life is a series of presentations. If you're going to present with power, with energy, people will listen to you. But if you're going to come here like, you are totally lost as well. So that transference of energy, like for us who speak, you find that, because even presenting, speaking, when you are in front of people, when you are trying to convince your board members, when you're trying to convince your management, all that is selling. And you need to make sure that, you show some passion and energy. So I like that point where you mentioned transference of energy. If what you have, it's because it shows your belief and the things that you really, you are deep down right to your heart. So if you can transfer it to the others, that will be also good. Okay, I think there's more questions for you, Jan.
Yeah, I see it.
They says question, how to close deals, most importantly, how to market products. What is more important between meeting clients with products physically or just advising them?
Again, a great question, and I see that from Professor Muka, if I say it right. Very interesting, because it's another part. See, marketing is opening your doors. See, selling is, if you say, for example, if you had a shop, you can fill your shop with products, but if you don't open your door, if you don't let people know what you're selling, whether it's a product or service, then if you're hoping that the people will walk into your shop effortless and buy what you're selling, it doesn't matter if it's the best product in the world. If you don't have any marketing, you're going to be struggling, and you're probably going to be out of business very soon. So both are very important. I think marketing is also an important part, because marketing is also an important part of selling, really. Because what you do when you're marketing, you're selling yourself and you're selling the benefits of your product. Really, whether you do it, and it says online advertising or physically. First of all, it depends what kind of product you have. I firmly believe that there is a lot you can build a big business online in various things that you do. I mean, we can do these kind of things online as well, of course, the training. But whatever product or service you've got, coaching, I do coaching online with people as far away as Europe, and as an executive coach with people in Dubai and things like that as well. So online things help. But when you're looking at marketing or make a sale, well, hopefully the marketing, do the right marketing to the right niche in the right places. Where do they hang out? So if they're not hanging out in Facebook, but you've got a professional product, then LinkedIn is much more important. But again, depending on the product or service, and if it's a service like Bitcoins, for example, you don't need to go and actually physically meet with a person. But there is one thing that I will always say: the human touch can never be underestimated. Because when we found it in COVID with the lockdowns, how much it damaged people, and with people sitting in front of a screen much more now than they ever did before. If you can actually connect with a person at the heart level, that means even on the phone, people like to hear a voice. Send them a little video note, or even because if you dare to do that, that's also good. A short video. Even to keep connected. Hey, I was just thinking about you. You mentioned that you were, and that's where you need to have the right questions. You mentioned you were interested in say Liverpool. I just saw something interesting about Liverpool, and I thought I'd send it to you. You're just saying to them you were thinking about them, that they matter. But I would always say, if you can, meet them physically. If you can't, then I would say the next thing is the phone. Because the voice is better than, or even a voice message, but the voice is better. Lift the phone, have a wonderful conversation. In the marketing, find out who your niche is, and make sure that you understand their requirements, because you can try to sell a car to somebody, to a group of people who don't have a driving license. Well, you're going to be very frustrated. Again, it's a silly, but I mean, it makes a point. You need to find out that your niche is the people who need what you're offering, because you need to find the problem. And that's what entrepreneurs do. They find the problem and they create a solution. So you need to think in those kind of things. And I also saw later, somewhere further on, Oh, it says there as well, what percentage of my business budget should I dedicate to sales? Well, yeah, it depends how your marketing goes as well. I mean, if some people are so good at marketing that people keep coming in. I said the other day to somebody, I've got a CRM system that helps coaches, trainers, speakers, and content providers as well as training providers. So when you set something like that up, you can have repeat emails to them. That doesn't mean spamming them, but you can send them emails to large groups with the touch of one button. You can do a lot of things in marketing directed to sales. It takes effort. I mean, if you are lucky enough that you have a product that go online and you found the right niche and you're now focusing on them, sending them emails or connecting with them, then it's easy. But they say you should spend 2 days out of every 5 on marketing and sales. And and I heard that a long time ago, that's the least. Everything else, like creating more products, creating more courses and all that kind of stuff, wonderful, but 2 days at least. So that's 40% of your time minimum you should spend on marketing and sales. Both of them are important because, of course, sales quite often, see, marketing, when you go to somebody, you are actually marketing yourself. And that is what you need to do, because remember, people buy into you before they ever buy into your product. So I would say you can't beat you connecting with people. And I hope that makes sense. Then I see another one. How do you handle customer retention? Again, wonderful question. And stay connected with them. Build a relationship from the start. And that's really what this is all about. It's not only, see, if we push our product or service, we can make a sale. So, not as often as we would like to because we're pushing, but if we build the relationships, we have people that more of those people will stay with us because they bought into us. And that's what we need to do. And that'll happen with the right kind of communication, with becoming a trusted advisor rather than a salesperson. All these kind of things I've mentioned will help you to retain customers, to even retain friendships, to even retain the connection, even if they don't buy right now. But it is all about building the relationship with the people. Because if you don't do that, they might be happy with your product, and if there is no other ones in the neighborhood, they might well come back to you. But the chances are much bigger if you build that relationships. How can one remain determined and focused even if the business is not doing as well as it should? Now that is again a very important question, and it is challenging, because it is so easy when things don't go too well, and we've all gone through a valley. Like life is a roller coaster. Sometimes you go down and sometimes you go back up. And when it happens, we should try to understand that we still need to bring that energy, because when business is not going so well or when business is slow, it's so easy to actually let our energy drain, and people will notice it on the other side. Sometimes we even appear to be desperate when we try to make a sale and then wonder why it doesn't happen. Then we need to make sure that before that happens. Oh, there's somebody else going in the room. I'm just gonna let them in. Oh, waiting room. Is somebody in the waiting room? Okay, I'll admit them. Yeah, I missed them. But again, these are all very good questions, but most of them have to do with the way you have to keep showing up. Because if once things are not going so well, it's really the energy levels in the office goes down. The atmosphere is not very pleasant. The pressure is on because now people tell you need to sell, and and it's so easy to think that I can't. I'll tell you one example. There is a pharmaceutical company, and we were doing values-based leadership training with them, but they also had problems with sales of a new product. It's a diabetic product, but the head office in Africa is in Dubai, EMEA, and they set the pricing for South Africa. Now the pricing was too high, and the salespeople thought, they were getting depressed because now they needed to sell a product that the equivalent product, even though it might not have been so good, When you are just a salesperson, price is going to be important. That's something worth remembering already. But what happened was the price was more, so they said, I can never sell that. Now, with that attitude, even if you don't say it, when you've already thinking that, because everything begins with a thought. In our values-based leadership, we've got a quote: thought become actions, actions become habits, and habits become our destiny. So if you reverse engineer that, everything begins with a thought. So if you need to change your way of doing things, you need to change your thinking. You need to change your mindset. You need to go from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. I will talk into that as well, and we'll talk into the mindset from a salesperson to the mindset of a trusted advisor. It's all mindset change is part of it, or a mindset upgrade. I did a talk like that once. How you need everybody needs a mindset upgrade, a checkup from the neck up, they say. So I think we need to keep the right frame of mind before we get on the call. And if you're a little bit down, do whatever you do, whatever is good for you, because one size doesn't fit all. Do something to get yourself up. Even go run into the toilet and stand there and shout at yourself, or have a power pose with the hips. You're the best. You can do this. And it might seem silly, but if you're down, you will work up a little bit more energy that will really help you. But it is challenging, and it is a great question, and we all go through that sometimes. But it's in those times that we really need to think, what can I do at this moment to develop myself, so when things are going to get better, I'm not just going to get a little bit better, I will get a lot better. So that uphill thing, that like when a roller coaster comes to the bottom, it shoots up the hill again rather than just try to crawl out of the hole.
Yeah, I think I like the mindset one, because mindset is one of my passions. I think everything is mindset. The psychology of the entrepreneur, the psychology of the salesperson, that's really the starting point. And we need to really get that upgrade. If we get the upgrade of our minds, we should be able to really push the agenda for sales, and becomes more effortless, because it really starts up here. So if we're able to re-engineer, we're able to get a software upgrade there, then we'll be able to, go and meet our customers with confidence, go meet with our customers to solve their needs, go to meet our customers and be there to really connect, as opposed to just pushing your product. I think more
Indeed.
connection. I think it's a human touch, really. It's really just becoming more human, and being able to push our products. All right.
For sure.
Any questions? I think we are almost now going towards, we should be.
Yeah, there is one or two more there, Gilbert, and I will be quick on. Oh, there's somebody else entering the room. Will you let them in? Sneak in the room already. I will just let somebody in, because I hate people they drop off with internet issues, of course. But let me have a look at the question, because there's two or three questions that I will quickly answer yet. One of them is, I would love to be subscribed to more networking webinar conferences where I can be given an opportunity to market my company. Well, I mean, it's not really a question, but I would say find out where the people where you niche, where the people you need to sell to, where they hang out, and start networking. It's not only necessarily webinars, because webinars are not really a place where you come and attend and sell, but networking events. I don't know if you've got BNI in Lusaka. I think you will have, because it's around the world. Find out any places where there is opportunities to network with the people that might need your products. The other hand, there is one outside area that I would just like to mention, is sometimes you get an opportunity to network with people, even though they might not be your market, your niche. Sometimes the question should be, who do you know that I should know? But don't talk about your product straight away. Have a conversation with these people, and you find that when they tell them about their company or whatever they do, and then they'll probably ask you, so what do you do? I say, okay, is that something that interests you? Well, no, I'm not. It's not something that I need or what I'm interested in. So is there anybody that you know that I should know? That's a great question. And if not at the moment, if you've got a business card and it says swap details with them and drop them an email. Hey, it was lovely to see you. I know you're not interested in what I've got to sell or what my product is, but I would love to. If you ever come across somebody who might need it, I would love you to recommend me. But that will only happen if you build the relationship. And then the other one, rebuilding integrity between producers and buyers and supportive structures that encourage a win-win for all parties involved. Now, the word rebuilding is always an issue because integrity, it takes a long time to build.
So the gate must have been set to Mkalam and all the grade sevens. That's what I'm asking.
Okay. Okay, thank you for muting just now. And if you've got a question, please, you can unmute yourself afterwards as well. But rebuilding, that's a dangerous word anyway, because it takes a long time to build integrity, but it takes a second to lose it. Rebuilding it takes a long time, but you've got to start somewhere. If an apology needs to be had, if a meeting needs to be had, and sort out what happened to us, why did we lose connection with each other? Why did we lose trust with each other? Have open conversations, but have meetings and open conversations and be vulnerable enough. And if you were wrong, admit you were wrong, apologize and say, how can I make it up to you? I know you might not trust me right now, but how can I make it up to you? It's all about having a conversation. Come together, apologize, and find out what really happened. Don't guess, find out, and then build that structure around there again. That's a short answer. There is a bit more to it, but I want to get to a few more questions. At what point really does profit be determined in business? When you earn more than you spend. Sorry, I know it's a crazy answer, but yeah, I mean, profit, that's a simple answer, but how much time do you invest in your business? And they say it takes 2 to 5 years for a business to become profitable. They also say it within the first 5 years, 80% of all entrepreneurial businesses fail. Don't be any of that 80%. Don't listen to that, because think about it, 80% might fail, but 20% actually succeed, be part of the 20%. Some of them even say 10%, but find out, come to a heart-centered sales workshop, because then you can find out you've got a fair advantage how you can market yourself and your products and your services better than anybody else. But it takes time, and eventually, once you start making money, then you will find out where your profit margin is. I mean, you need to account for that and find out what you need to spend and what you need to bring in to make sure that things level up before you earn more than you spend. It's very simple, but that's really what the basics of it are. Then the next one is, with the current trend for entrepreneurship, how can I get healthcare professionals to be business oriented? Oh, that's a lovely question. I will get away from the question just now because I've got them all. That's a wonderful question, because healthcare professionals, if they are, there is a variety of healthcare professionals, and some of them have got their own surgery. I don't know if they call them the same in Zambia, but they've got their own surgery. Some of them run a surgery, and sometimes they're surgery managers. So they manage a few different doctors, a few nurses, a few admin staff, however big the surgery is. Then they need to become, maybe, and they probably, if they have a business for healthcare, they should have a salesperson in there as well, a marketing and salesperson. That could be the same one. If you're really interested in pushing it, they could. Oh, sorry. They could be 2 different people, or more if that's possible. But individual healthcare professionals, because they're so focused on people, and quite often because of their specialty, like doctors, scientists, accountants, actuaries, those kind of people normally work alone. They're not really people-centric so much. You'll learn a lot more about that in the workshop as well, what that all means, whether you reserve that outcome, whether you're people-oriented or product-oriented or task-oriented. And then you'll find out much more about yourself, and therefore you can practice how to find out about others. But it needs to find a purpose. I mean, if healthcare professionals aren't salespeople and they work for themselves, and they need to sell, that's already a story. They need to come to a workshop like this. They need to become more people-centric, to learn to connect with people. But if they are, as I said, if they are already selling, how can they become better at selling their services? For a healthcare professional, it's usually difficult because they either work with patients or they sit on the phone. You can't do both. So I would always say, if it's possible for a healthcare professional, outsource that, because it's probably not one of their strengths, and they will get frustrated. We'll talk about that as well. People always say, oh, you need to work on your weaknesses. No, you don't. If you can outsource it, outsource it. But as an entrepreneur, you need to do everything at first. But you're better off finding out what your strengths are, which you're going to find out in a workshop, and then also expand on that. Get better in your strengths. That is much easier and much more pleasant to do. But find your purpose, find out what your needs are, and then get advice, because it's one size doesn't fit all, of course. I know it's not maybe the answer you want, but I mean, it's until we know what those healthcare professionals sell, whether they're healthcare professionals that are selling products like in the pharmaceutical industry, or whether they're doctors that need to get more clients, they've all got different issues to contend with, but all of them need people skills. All of them need the heart-centered skills.
Okay, so I think this is an introductory webinar. We actually did this webinar to try and make sure that the people who are shown some interest can be able to get a glimpse of what will be covered in the 2-day training program, which comes up in Lusaka at the Taj Pamosi Hotel on the 22nd and 23rd. So if you are interested, or you think that your company can be able to sponsor you, or you want to bring in your sales team, you can get in touch with us. We've created a group for those of you who have joined. I think there's a group in there. You can ask and fill. There's a Google form which you can fill out, and then we take it from there. We are going to run a series of these webinars. This one is focusing on the sales, but with key leadership, we'll be also dealing something later in the year on elevating your leadership potential, and on personal development. So we do look forward to interacting with you more in these podcasts, in these webinars. And so our hope is that you found some value. I think you dropped in quite some value. So if you're in sales, or if you need to improve your technical skills or your hard skills, I mean, to be able to connect more with people, I think there was quite a lot of ideas that dropped this evening, and we hope you found it worth your time. And do get in touch with us through email, or through making a call, or through the WhatsApp group that we've created. And our aim is really that we strengthen one another. For us at the Motivational Center for Africa's Transformation, our aim is really people development and business development. Those are the two twin pillars that define our work. And so our aim is to really help you as an individual. So as you can see, sales skills is not only just for business, it's also for your personal development in terms of how you relate with people. Because every day we are selling. You are either selling your ideas, you are either selling to your spouse. Every day is selling, and you need to have the right skills for you to get good results. So I think trying to upgrade yourself in terms of sales skills is not only something that you need for a job, it's something that you need to just get ahead in life, or just for you to just make sure that you develop yourself to become a go-to person. Your children need also to be taught sales skills, because everything, has to be sold. All the people that start businesses, all those, if you just walked in the streets of Lusaka, you will see office after office with products to sell, with requiring. So the sales, the people who have a skill set in selling will certainly be able to, they can never be out of a job, because every day there is somebody out there who requires a product, and it requires sales skills. It requires a salesman. So becoming a salesman, a super salesman, I can promise you,
Or woman.
you will always never be without a job.
I like that, Gilbert. And you know, somebody just asked if we can share the recording. Well, I'm going to send the recording to Gilbert at MoCAT. So if you get in touch with him as well. But I hope I spend half an hour to explain a few things and talk a little bit into the webinar, into the 2-day workshop. There is 2 full days of it, and I've got enough to do 4 days. But I mean, you're going to get 2 days. You're going to get a lot of value of it. I hope you got some value of this. That's why I spend but 50-50, half an hour on answering different questions, because your questions are important to us. But I hope also that you know, get in touch with Gilbert. If you're in the heart-centered WhatsApp group as well, if you got any other questions, my wife actually put a wonderful PDF in for somebody who asked her some questions, and if you, it's worth downloading to see what she did for them, for this person. But that's the quality of value we want to offer you. We, as Gilbert said, if and when you learn to sell better, you will always have a job, because AI will never take that. They will take some jobs, and you need to become aware of AI because you need to embrace it, but they will never take your job, because the heart-centered stuff is something that AI will never do. So I hope we see many of you in the workshop in 2 weeks' time. Get in touch with Gilbert and MoCAT. It's a pleasure and a privilege to partner with them. And as I said, we will do more. But I think this is not only about sales, it is about growing you, growing yourself. So if you're interested in personal development, it gives you many more options that you would have if you didn't become part of something like this, because it has a holistic approach, and a holistic approach you can take from sales. As you said, when you can sell, you can do anything. So I don't say you have to sell, but as I said already, if you ask when you were younger, if you asked your mother for something and she said no first and you kept going, you were selling. If you actually wanted to ask a girl or a boy out and at first they said no, but eventually you took them out, you sold. And even if they said no, as long as you stayed friends, you still sold. So there is, sales are all around. It's not a dirty word, but it's misunderstood, and that's why I say heart-centered sales. So again, I'm passionate about this kind of stuff. I hope you got that as well, and I look forward to see many of you. And you know, share this with your company, share this with others who couldn't make it tonight. There was quite a few of them who actually did, but I know power cuts have been you've been badly affected by power cuts as well. So you will already add value to your friends and the other people who couldn't make it by sharing this with them, and also, you know, letting them know the value you will get from those 2 days, I will promise you, far outweighs the investment you need to make. And we all need to invest in ourselves to actually become better at all kinds of things. So I want to leave it there. Gilbert, have you got any final words?
Okay, so otherwise it was truly a jolly good pleasure to have been of service to all of you who showed up. I know that, you know, we had over 50 people who signed up, but like always, you know, because of power cuts, some of the people maybe couldn't make it because their phones are not charged and so forth. But hey, we have the recording, we'll be able to share it with everybody who has need to listen to it. But our aim is really to make sure that, you know, we become agents of positive change. That's why we come from the Motivational Center for Africa's Transformation. So from us at MoCAT and Key Leadership, we want to thank you, all of you who showed up this evening. Good night, and God bless you.